You are living beneath your potential. Right now, at this very moment, there is a gap between who you are and who you could be, between what you've achieved and what you're capable of achieving, between the life you're living and the life you could be living. And the single factor responsible for this gap is confidence, or rather, the lack of it. Every day, you hold yourself back. You don't speak up in meetings because you doubt your ideas are worth hearing. You don't pursue opportunities because you don't believe you're qualified enough. You don't start projects because you fear failure. You don't approach people because you assume they'll reject you. You don't set ambitious goals because deep down, you don't believe you can achieve them. This lack of confidence is costing you everything. It's costing you career advancement, romantic relationships, financial opportunities, personal growth, and the experience of living fully. You're playing small in a world that rewards those who play big. You're holding back in situations that demand boldness. You're second-guessing yourself when you should be acting decisively. But here's what you need to understand. Confidence is not something you're born with. It's not a personality trait that some people have and others don't. It's not determined by your past experiences, your appearance, your intelligence, or your background. Confidence is a skill that can be built systematically through specific practices and deliberate action. The people you see who appear naturally confident were not born that way. They built their confidence through a process that you can replicate. They rewired their brains, changed their behaviors, and transformed their self-perception. And you can do exactly the same thing. By the time you finish this, you will understand the exact mechanics of confidence, how it's created in your brain, how it's destroyed by your habits, and how it can be rebuilt stronger than ever. You will learn the specific actions that generate genuine confidence rather than the fake confidence that crumbles under pressure. You will discover how to eliminate the fears and limiting beliefs that have been holding you back for years. You will master the art of self-assurance that allows you to move through the world with certainty, take action despite fear, and become the person you've always known you could be. This is not motivational speaking. This is not positive thinking. This is practical training in building real confidence that transforms how you experience every aspect of life. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Confidence Crisis. Let me tell you what your lack of confidence actually looks like in daily life. You wake up, and the first thoughts in your mind are criticisms. You notice your reflection and immediately catalog your flaws. You think about the day ahead and worry about all the ways you might fail or embarrass yourself. You arrive at work, and when you have an idea, you dismiss it before sharing it. You assume others have better thoughts. You convince yourself that your perspective doesn't matter. When someone asks for your opinion, you hedge and qualify everything you say, making sure everyone knows you're not really sure about anything. In social situations, you monitor yourself constantly. You replay things you said and cringe. You notice when people aren't laughing at your jokes or aren't responding enthusiastically to your stories. You interpret every neutral interaction as evidence that people don't like you. When opportunities arise, you immediately think of reasons why you're not qualified. You focus on what you lack rather than what you offer. You convince yourself that someone else deserves it more. You let chances pass because you're waiting to feel ready, not realizing that you'll never feel ready if you don't act. When you encounter challenges, you interpret them as proof that you're not capable. A setback becomes evidence of your inadequacy. A failure confirms your deepest fear that you're not good enough. You avoid difficult situations not because you can't handle them, but because you don't believe you can. In relationships, you settle for less than you deserve because you don't believe you can attract better. You tolerate disrespect because you think it's the best you can get. You don't express your needs because you fear the other person will leave if you make demands. When you achieve something, you attribute it to luck rather than your abilities. When you fail at something, you attribute it to your inherent inadequacy. This asymmetry ensures that nothing you accomplish builds your confidence, while everything you fail at destroys it. You spend enormous mental energy trying to predict what others think of you. You modify your behavior to gain approval. You suppress your authentic self to avoid judgment. You become whoever you think other people want you to be, which means you never actually are anyone at all. This is the confidence crisis, and it's epidemic. The vast majority of people live this way. They move through life in a constant state of self-doubt, second-guessing, and fear of judgment. They never develop into the full expression of their potential because they don't believe that full expression is possible for them. The tragedy is that this crisis is entirely unnecessary. The lack of confidence you experience is not based on reality. It's based on distorted thinking patterns, false beliefs installed during childhood, and a complete misunderstanding of how confidence actually works. Your brain is lying to you. It's telling you that you're not capable, not worthy, not good enough. And you're believing these lies because you don't understand where they come from or how to challenge them. The voice in your head that criticizes and doubts is not the voice of truth. It's the voice of fear, conditioning, and outdated survival mechanisms that no longer serve you. This voice developed when you were young and vulnerable. It learned that keeping you small and afraid would protect you from rejection and failure. But what protected you as a child is now imprisoning you as an adult. That voice is keeping you from relationships you could have, opportunities you could seize, experiences you could enjoy, and achievements you could accomplish. Every day you listen to it is another day your potential remains locked away. But you can stop listening. You can build a different voice, a voice of confidence, capability, and self-assurance. You can rewire your brain to default to confidence rather than doubt. You can transform your self-perception from inadequate to capable. This transformation will not happen through positive thinking or affirmations. It will happen through understanding the mechanics of confidence and systematically building it through action. Confidence is not created by thinking confident thoughts. It's created by taking confident action and proving to yourself through direct experience that you are more capable than you believed. Most people have this backwards. They wait to feel confident before taking action. But confidence doesn't precede action. Confidence follows action. You build confidence by doing the things you're afraid to do and discovering you can handle them. You build confidence by setting goals and achieving them. You build confidence by facing rejection and realizing it doesn't destroy you. You build confidence by failing and getting back up. Every confident person you admire built their confidence through accumulated evidence of their capability. They didn't wake up one day feeling confident. They took action despite fear, succeeded or learned from failure, and gradually built the self-assurance that now appears natural. You can do the same. But first, you need to understand exactly what confidence is, where it comes from, and how it's been undermined in your life. Only then can you begin the systematic process of rebuilding it. Chapter 2. The Architecture of Confidence. Confidence is not a single thing. It's a complex system involving your brain's chemistry, your thought patterns, your past experiences, and your current behaviors. Understanding this system is essential because you cannot build what you don't understand. At the neurological level, confidence is associated with specific brain regions and neurotransmitters. Your prefrontal cortex, responsible for executive function and decision-making, becomes more active when you feel confident. Your amygdala, responsible for fear responses, becomes less active. Neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin are elevated in confident states. This neurological configuration can be deliberately cultivated through specific practices. You're not stuck with your current brain chemistry. You can change it through consistent action. At the cognitive level, confidence involves your beliefs about yourself and your capabilities. These beliefs form a lens through which you interpret all experiences. If you believe you're capable, you interpret challenges as opportunities. If you believe you're inadequate, you interpret the same challenges as threats. This interpretive lens is not fixed. It was formed through past experiences and can be reformed through new experiences. The problem is that most people's confidence was damaged during their formative years. Perhaps you had critical parents who focused on your mistakes rather than your achievements. Perhaps you experienced significant failures or rejections during childhood or adolescence. Perhaps you were bullied, excluded, or made to feel different. Perhaps you internalized societal messages about your worth based on appearance, intelligence, or social status. These early experiences created core beliefs about yourself. Beliefs like, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve success, people don't like me, I always fail, or I'm fundamentally flawed. These beliefs operate largely unconsciously. You don't actively think them, but they color everything. They create a filter that selectively notices evidence supporting them while ignoring contradictory evidence. When you succeed at something, the filter dismisses it as luck or an exception. When you fail at something, the filter highlights it as confirmation of your inadequacy. This confirmation bias ensures that your negative beliefs remain intact regardless of your actual experiences. Breaking this cycle requires conscious awareness and deliberate intervention. You must learn to notice your automatic negative thoughts, challenge them, and actively collect evidence that contradicts your limiting beliefs. At the behavioral level, confidence is expressed through how you carry yourself, how you speak, how you make decisions, and how you interact with others. These behaviors both reflect and create confidence. This is crucial to understand. Your behaviors don't just express your internal state, they shape it. When you stand up straight, make eye contact, and speak clearly, you don't just appear confident, you actually feel more confident. Your brain receives signals from your body and adjusts your neurochemistry accordingly. This means you can use your behavior to change your internal state. You can act confident even when you don't feel confident, and the feeling will follow the action. This is not being fake or inauthentic. It's deliberately using your behavior to shift your neurological state. Confident people do this naturally. They've learned that certain behaviors generate confident feelings, so they engage in those behaviors habitually. You can do the same thing consciously until it becomes automatic. At the social level, confidence is influenced by how others respond to you. Humans are social creatures. We're wired to care about our standing in social hierarchies. When others respect, admire, or defer to us, we feel confident. When others dismiss, criticize, or reject us, our confidence suffers. This social dimension of confidence is powerful, but dangerous. If your confidence depends entirely on external validation, you're giving others complete control over your self-worth. You need external validation to feel good, which makes you desperate for approval and devastated by rejection. Building unshakable confidence requires developing internal validation. You must learn to assess your own worth based on your values and standards rather than others' opinions. This doesn't mean ignoring all feedback. It means filtering feedback through your own judgment rather than automatically accepting it as truth. At the experiential level, confidence is built through direct experience of capability. This is the most reliable source of confidence. When you set a goal and achieve it, when you face a fear and overcome it, when you fail and recover, you build evidence-based confidence. This experiential confidence is unshakable because it's based on demonstrated capability, not just belief. You're not trying to convince yourself you're capable. You have proof. This is why action is essential for building confidence. You cannot think your way to confidence. You must act your way to it. Every small success, every challenge faced, every fear overcome adds to your reservoir of evidence that you are capable. Over time, this accumulated evidence transforms your self-perception. The final dimension of confidence is purpose and meaning. Confidence is easier to access when you're pursuing something that matters deeply to you. When your actions align with your values and contribute to goals you care about, you naturally feel more assured and capable. Conversely, when you're pursuing goals that don't really matter to you or living according to others' expectations, confidence is elusive. You're not connected to a deeper source of motivation that sustains you through challenges. Understanding these dimensions reveals that building confidence requires a multifaceted approach. You must work on your neurology through specific practices. You must work on your cognition by identifying and challenging limiting beliefs. You must work on your behavior by deliberately acting in ways that generate confidence. You must work on your social environment by surrounding yourself with people who support your growth. You must work on gaining direct experience of your capabilities through action. And you must work on clarifying your purpose and aligning your life with what truly matters to you. This might sound overwhelming, but it's actually liberating. It means you have multiple leverage points for building confidence. You don't need to fix everything at once. You can start with one dimension and progress from there. Each dimension reinforces the others. As your behavior becomes more confident, your thoughts become more confident. As your thoughts become more confident, you take more action. As you take more action, you gain more experience. As you gain more experience, your confidence deepens. This creates a virtuous cycle where confidence builds on itself, becoming progressively stronger and more stable. But you must initiate the cycle. It will not start on its own. And the place to begin is with brutal honesty about where your confidence has been undermined. Chapter 3. Identifying your confidence. Destroyers. Before you can build unshakable confidence, you must identify and eliminate the things actively destroying it. You might think you simply lack confidence, but the truth is more nuanced. You have confidence being actively undermined by specific patterns, environments, and relationships. The first confidence destroyer is toxic comparison. You constantly compare yourself to others, and these comparisons are always rigged against you. You compare your behind-the-scenes reality to everyone else's highlight reel. You see their successes and assume they don't struggle. You see their confidence and assume they've never doubted themselves. You see their achievements and use them as evidence that you're falling behind. Social media has weaponized this tendency. Every day, you're exposed to carefully curated presentations of other people's best moments. Vacations, achievements, attractive photos, successful projects. Your brain processes these as accurate representations of their lives and finds you lacking by comparison. But you're comparing your full, messy, complex reality to their filtered highlights. This is like comparing a rough draft to a published book and concluding you can't write. The comparison is invalid, but your confidence doesn't know that. It only knows that others seem better, more successful, more attractive, more together. The solution is not positive thinking. It's eliminating or drastically reducing exposure to comparison triggers. This means limiting social media, unfollowing accounts that make you feel inadequate, and consciously refusing to engage in comparative thinking. When you notice yourself comparing, interrupt the pattern. Remind yourself that you're comparing incompatible things. Redirect your attention to your own progress and path. The second confidence destroyer is perfectionism. You set impossibly high standards, then use your failure to meet them as evidence of inadequacy. You focus on what you did wrong rather than what you did right. You dismiss achievements as not good enough. You believe that anything less than perfection is failure. This perfectionism often originates from conditional love in childhood. You learned that approval and acceptance depended on meeting high standards. You internalize the belief that your worth is determined by your performance. Now, you're trapped in a cycle where nothing you do is ever good enough. You achieve something and immediately shift focus to the next goal without acknowledging your accomplishment. Or you focus on the small flaws in what you achieved rather than the overall success. Perfectionism masquerades as high standards, but it's actually a confidence destroyer. It ensures that nothing you accomplish builds your confidence because nothing meets your impossible criteria. The solution is setting realistic standards and practicing self-compassion. This doesn't mean lowering your goals or accepting mediocrity. It means acknowledging that excellence is different from perfection. Excellence is achievable and builds confidence. Perfection is impossible and destroys confidence. Learn to celebrate progress rather than demanding flawless execution. Acknowledge what you did well, not just what you could improve. Treat yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a friend. The third confidence destroyer is rumination on past failures. You replay mistakes and failures in your mind repeatedly. You torture yourself with what you should have done differently. You use past failures as evidence of future inadequacy. This rumination serves no useful purpose. You're not learning from mistakes. You're just punishing yourself for making them. Learning involves extracting lessons and moving forward. Rumination involves reliving pain without progress. Your brain cannot distinguish between remembering a painful event and experiencing it in real time. When you ruminate, you reactivate the same neural patterns and neurochemistry as the original failure. This repeatedly reinforces the neural pathways associated with inadequacy and defeat. The solution is implementing a strict policy on past failures. Allow yourself to review them once for learning purposes. What went wrong? What would you do differently? What can you learn? Once you've extracted these lessons, deliberately close the mental file. When your mind tries to reopen it, refuse. Consciously redirect your attention to something else. This requires discipline, but it's essential. Every moment spent ruminating is a moment spent destroying your confidence. The fourth confidence destroyer is surrounding yourself with people who undermine you. These might be overtly critical people who point out your flaws and failures. Or they might be subtly undermining people who disguise criticism as concern or make jokes at your expense. They might be competitive people who feel threatened by your success and subtly sabotage you. Or they might be negative people whose constant complaining and pessimism drag down your energy and confidence. The people you spend time with shape your self-perception more than almost any other factor. If you're surrounded by people who believe in you, encourage you, and celebrate your growth, your confidence flourishes. If you're surrounded by people who doubt you, criticize you, or compete with you, your confidence withers. You might protest that you cannot simply abandon family members or longtime friends, but you can absolutely limit your exposure to people who undermine you and increase your exposure to people who support you. This isn't selfish. It's essential for your development. The solution is conducting a ruthless audit of your relationships. Who in your life consistently makes you feel better about yourself? Who makes you feel worse? Spend more time with the first group. Drastically limit time with the second group. For relationships you cannot fully exit, establish boundaries. Don't discuss your goals or vulnerabilities with people who will use them against you. Don't seek validation from people who will withhold it. Find your support elsewhere. The fifth confidence destroyer is avoidance of challenges. Every time you avoid something difficult or scary, you send your brain a message that you're not capable of handling it. This avoidance might feel like it's protecting you, but it's actually destroying your confidence. When you avoid giving presentations, you reinforce the belief that you can't handle public speaking. When you avoid social situations, you reinforce the belief that people won't like you. When you avoid starting projects, you reinforce the belief that you'll fail. Avoidance creates a shrinking comfort zone. The more you avoid, the smaller your world becomes and the less confident you feel. The solution is systematic exposure to the things you're avoiding. Start small, but start. If you're afraid of public speaking, speak up in a small meeting. If you're afraid of rejection, make a small request that might be denied. If you're afraid of failure, start a low-stakes project. Each time you face something you've been avoiding and survive, you build evidence that you're more capable than you believed. Your comfort zone expands. Your confidence grows. The sixth confidence destroyer is lack of self-care. When you neglect your physical health, appearance, or environment, you send yourself a message that you're not worth caring for. Sleep deprivation, poor nutrition, lack of exercise, and neglecting your appearance all erode confidence. You cannot feel confident when you're exhausted, unhealthy, or disgusted by your own appearance. This isn't vanity. It's recognizing that your physical state affects your psychological state. The solution is treating self-care as non-negotiable. Sleep 7 to 9 hours. Eat nutritious food. Exercise regularly. Maintain basic grooming and wear clothes that make you feel good. Keep your living space reasonably clean and organized. These practices signal to yourself that you're worth caring for, which directly builds confidence. The seventh confidence destroyer is isolation. Humans are social creatures. When you isolate yourself, you deprive yourself of the social connection that's essential for psychological health. You also lose opportunities to practice social skills, receive positive feedback, and experience being valued by others. Isolation might feel safe because it protects you from rejection, but it guarantees the loneliness and self-doubt that destroy confidence. The solution is forcing yourself to engage socially even when you don't feel like it. Join groups, attend events, initiate conversations. The discomfort is temporary. The confidence built through connection is lasting. Identifying these confidence destroyers is the first step. The next step is systematically eliminating them from your life while simultaneously implementing the practices that build genuine confidence. Chapter 4. The Foundation of Self-Assurance. Building. Unshakable confidence requires establishing a foundation of core practices that generate self-assurance from the inside out. These are not quick fixes or superficial techniques. They're fundamental shifts in how you relate to yourself and the world. The first foundational practice is developing self-awareness without self-judgment. Most people have very little accurate self-awareness. They either avoid looking at themselves honestly, or they look at themselves through a lens of harsh criticism. Neither approach builds confidence. Effective self-awareness means observing yourself objectively, like a scientist studying an interesting subject. You notice your patterns, tendencies, strengths, and weaknesses without attaching moral judgment to them. When you notice a weakness, you don't conclude that you're defective. You simply note that this is an area for potential development. When you notice a strength, you don't dismiss it as nothing special. You acknowledge it as an actual capability. This objective self-awareness allows you to see yourself clearly, which is essential for building genuine confidence. You cannot be confident in capabilities you don't recognize you have, and you cannot improve weaknesses you refuse to acknowledge. Practice daily self-reflection. Spend 10 minutes each evening reviewing your day. What did you do well? Where could you improve? What patterns do you notice? Do this without judgment. You're collecting data, not prosecuting yourself. The second foundational practice is keeping your word to yourself. Confidence is built on self-trust. If you don't trust yourself to follow through on commitments, you cannot feel confident. Most people have destroyed their self-trust through years of broken promises to themselves. They say they'll exercise tomorrow, then don't. They say they'll start a project, then procrastinate indefinitely. They set goals they never pursue. Each broken promise erodes self-trust and confidence. The solution is making fewer commitments and keeping all of them. Better to commit to something small and do it than commit to something ambitious and fail. If you commit to exercising 10 minutes daily, do it every single day. If you commit to writing 200 words daily, never miss a day. These small, kept promises rebuild self-trust. Over time, you prove to yourself that you are someone who does what they say. This is the foundation of confidence. The third foundational practice is embracing discomfort deliberately. Confidence grows at the edge of your comfort zone. Everything worthwhile requires doing things that feel uncomfortable. Speaking up requires risking judgment. Starting a business requires risking failure. Approaching someone romantically requires risking rejection. Pursuing ambitious goals requires risking disappointment. Most people avoid discomfort, which means they never build confidence. They stay in their comfort zone where everything feels safe, but nothing grows. The solution is seeking discomfort regularly, not recklessly, but deliberately. Each week, do something that scares you slightly. Have a difficult conversation. Try something new. Go somewhere alone. Speak to a stranger. Each time you voluntarily embrace discomfort and survive, your brain recalibrates what you're capable of handling. Your comfort zone expands. Your confidence grows. The fourth foundational practice is physical confidence building. Your body and mind are not separate systems. How you use your body directly affects your psychological state. Confident people move differently than unconfident people. They stand tall, make eye contact, speak clearly, take up space, move deliberately. These behaviors don't just express confidence. They create it. Research shows that adopting confident body language for just 2 minutes changes hormone levels, increasing testosterone and decreasing cortisol, creating a more confident neurological state. You can use this deliberately. Practice power poses before important situations. Stand with feet wide, hands on hips, or arms raised, chest open. Hold for 2 minutes. This actually changes your brain chemistry. Practice confident walking. Head up, shoulders back, purposeful stride. Don't shuffle or rush. Move like someone who belongs wherever they're going. Practice confident speaking. Speak slowly and clearly. Lower your vocal pitch slightly. Use pauses instead of filler words. Make eye contact while speaking. These physical practices feel artificial initially, but they create real changes in your neurochemistry and self-perception. The fifth foundational practice is competence building. Genuine confidence is ultimately based on competence. You cannot sustainably feel confident if you have no actual capabilities. This doesn't mean you need to be world-class at everything. It means you need to be genuinely capable in domains that matter to you. Identify skills that are important for your goals. Then systematically develop them through deliberate practice. If public speaking matters, take courses and practice regularly. If technical skills matter, invest time in learning them. If social skills matter, study them and practice them. As you develop real competence, your confidence naturally grows because it's based on actual capability, not just positive thinking. The sixth foundational practice is reframing failure. Confident people don't experience less failure than others. They interpret failure differently. When unconfident people fail, they see it as evidence of personal inadequacy. The failure means they're not good enough. When confident people fail, they see it as information. The failure means the approach didn't work, not that they're defective. This reframe is essential. Failure is inevitable when you're pushing beyond your comfort zone. If failure destroys your confidence, you'll never take risks or grow. Practice interpreting failures as experiments that produce data. What did you learn? What would you do differently? What's the next experiment? This scientific approach to failure makes it much less threatening and allows you to build confidence through action despite inevitable setbacks. The seventh foundational practice is surrounding yourself with evidence of your capability. Your environment should remind you of what you're capable of, not what you lack. Create a physical space with evidence of past achievements, certificates, photos, objects that represent things you've accomplished. This isn't about ego. It's about reminding yourself of the truth when your brain tells lies about your inadequacy. Keep a success journal where you record daily wins, no matter how small. Completed a difficult task? Write it down. Received positive feedback? Record it. Handled something well? Document it. Review this journal when your confidence falters. You cannot argue with documented evidence. These foundational practices create the substrate from which confidence grows. They're not one-time actions, but ongoing commitments. Each day you practice them, you're laying another brick in the foundation of unshakable confidence. Chapter 5. The Confidence Action Plan. Confidence is not built through thinking or planning. It's built through action. Specifically, through taking actions that expand your perception of what you're capable of. This requires a systematic approach to pushing beyond your current limits. The first element of the action plan is the fear hierarchy. List everything you're currently avoiding due to fear or lack of confidence. Be specific and comprehensive. Starting conversations with strangers. Asking for what you want. Speaking up in meetings. Pursuing romantic interests. Applying for positions you want. Starting projects you dream about. Having difficult conversations. Setting boundaries. Trying new activities. Once you have your list, rank these items from least scary to most scary. Rate each on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is slightly uncomfortable and 10 is terrifying. Your action plan will involve systematically working through this hierarchy. You start with items rated 1 or 2, things that are uncomfortable but manageable. You practice these repeatedly until they no longer generate anxiety. Then you move to items rated 3 or 4. Gradually, you work your way up the hierarchy. This systematic exposure is how you expand your confidence zone. You don't jump immediately to the most terrifying things. You build gradually, allowing your brain to recalibrate after each success. For example, if public speaking is terrifying, you don't start by giving a keynote address. You start by speaking up once in a small meeting. Then you work up to longer contributions. Then small group presentations. Then larger audiences. Each step builds evidence of capability that supports the next step. The second element is the daily courage practice. Every single day, do one thing that requires courage relative to your current comfort level. This might be very small initially, making eye contact with a stranger, asking a question in class, wearing something slightly outside your normal style, introducing yourself to someone new. The specific action matters less than the daily practice of choosing courage over comfort. Over time, these daily acts compound dramatically. After a month, you've taken 30 courage actions. After a year, 365. This accumulated evidence of courage transforms your self-perception. The third element is the rejection challenge. Much of your lack of confidence comes from fear of rejection. The solution is systematically desensitizing yourself to rejection through deliberate exposure. Create a goal of collecting rejections. Ask for things you might not get. Propose ideas that might be declined. Invite people who might say no. Apply for opportunities you might not receive. The goal is not to get rejected. It's to discover that rejection doesn't destroy you. Each rejection you survive proves that rejection is manageable. This makes you progressively bolder because the downside you feared turns out to be minor. Some people challenge themselves to collect 100 rejections in a specific time frame. This forces them to take actions with rejection risk constantly. Paradoxically, Many of these attempts succeed, but even the rejections serve their purpose by proving they're survivable. The fourth element is the accomplishment ladder. Set a series of progressively challenging goals in an area important to you. Start with something you're fairly confident you can achieve. Complete it. Acknowledge the accomplishment. Then set a slightly more challenging goal. Complete it. Acknowledge it. Continue this pattern with each goal representing a meaningful but achievable stretch beyond the previous one. This creates a documented trail of increasing capability. You're not trying to leap to your ultimate goal immediately. You're building a staircase of achievements, each one expanding your confidence zone and supporting the next step. For example, if your ultimate goal is running a marathon, start with running a mile, then 5 kilometers, then 10 kilometers, then a half marathon. Each completed goal provides evidence that supports attempting the next one. The fifth element is the identity shift exercise. Confident behavior comes from confident identity. If you see yourself as shy, you'll behave shyly. If you see yourself as confident, you'll behave confidently. Deliberately cultivate a confident identity through specific practices. Choose a confidence role model, someone who embodies the confidence you want to develop. Study how they move, speak, make decisions, handle challenges, then practice embodying those characteristics. Before important situations, ask yourself how your role model would handle this, then act accordingly. You're not trying to become someone else. You're trying to access confident aspects of yourself by modeling confident behavior. Use identity-based affirmations. Instead of saying, "I am confident," which your brain might reject as false, say, "I am becoming more confident each day," or "I am someone who faces fears." These are harder to dispute and shift your identity gradually. Write about your confident future self. Describe in detail who you'll be when you've built the confidence you want. How will you think, speak, act, relate to others? What will your daily life look like? This creates a clear target for your development. The sixth element is the feedback loop optimization. You need accurate feedback to build confidence effectively. Without feedback, you don't know if you're improving. Seek feedback actively from people who will be honest and constructive, not from people who will just praise you to be nice, and not from people who will tear you down. From people who genuinely want you to improve and will tell you both what you're doing well and where you can develop. Learn to receive feedback without defensiveness. When someone offers criticism, thank them and consider whether it's valid. If it is, use it to improve. If it isn't, discard it without letting it affect your confidence. Create your own feedback mechanisms. Record yourself speaking, presenting, or performing skills you're developing. Review these recordings objectively. What are you doing well? What could improve? Track your progress quantitatively where possible. If you're building fitness, track your numbers. If you're building skills, test yourself regularly. Measurable progress builds confidence because it's undeniable. The seventh element is the celebration practice. Most people dismiss their achievements and dwell on their failures. This asymmetry destroys confidence. Reverse this pattern. Actively celebrate every win, no matter how small. When you do something that required courage, acknowledge it. When you achieve a goal, mark the moment. When you handle something well, recognize it. This doesn't mean becoming arrogant. It means giving yourself credit for actual accomplishments instead of dismissing them as nothing special. Your brain learns from what you pay attention to. If you pay attention only to failures, you train your brain to expect failure. If you pay attention to successes, you train your brain to expect success. Make celebration a deliberate practice. Share achievements with supportive people. Write them in your success journal. Give yourself small rewards for completing challenging goals. This positive reinforcement makes taking confident action more appealing and sustainable. The action plan requires consistency. You cannot work through your fear hierarchy once and be done. You cannot do one courage action and expect transformation. You must commit to this as an ongoing practice. But if you do, the results are extraordinary. Within months, you will be doing things that currently seem impossible. Within a year, you will be unrecognizable to your current self. Chapter 6. Social Confidence Mastery. Much of your confidence, or lack thereof, manifests in social situations. The ability to interact with others comfortably, assert yourself appropriately, and navigate social dynamics determines much of your life experience. Career advancement, romantic relationships, friendships, and general quality of life all depend heavily on social confidence. Yet this is where most people struggle intensely. Social anxiety, fear of judgment, and people-pleasing patterns undermine confidence in nearly every interaction. Building social confidence requires understanding the specific dynamics at play and implementing targeted practices. The first principle of social confidence is understanding that everyone is primarily focused on themselves. You worry constantly about what others think of you. You imagine they're scrutinizing your every word and action, but they're doing the same thing. They're worried about what you think of them. They're focused on how they're coming across, not on analyzing you in detail. This is called the spotlight effect. You feel like you're under a spotlight with everyone watching. In reality, you're one of many people, and everyone else is starring in their own internal drama where they are the main character. Understanding this is liberating. That embarrassing thing you said, they probably didn't notice or forgot immediately. That awkward moment. They were too worried about their own awkwardness to fixate on yours. You are not the center of everyone's attention. You're barely on their radar. The second principle is that social skills are just skills. They can be learned and improved through practice. You're not fundamentally deficient socially. You simply haven't developed these skills adequately. Confident conversation involves specific learnable techniques. Making eye contact, asking good questions, active listening, sharing appropriately, using humor, reading social cues. None of these are mysterious talents. They're skills you can study and practice. Start with one skill at a time. If you struggle with eye contact, practice maintaining it for comfortable durations. If you struggle with contributing to conversations, practice asking questions and sharing relevant stories. If you struggle with reading social cues, study body language and practice observing it in others. The third principle is that vulnerability creates connection. Many people try to build social confidence by presenting a perfect, invulnerable image. They hide anything that might be judged. They never admit uncertainty or weakness. They try to appear completely together at all times. This approach backfires. People connect with authenticity, not perfection. When you present a flawless facade, people cannot relate to you. They sense the artificiality and maintain distance. When you show appropriate vulnerability, you become relatable. People see that you're human, just like them. This creates the foundation for genuine connection. Social confidence doesn't mean never showing weakness. It means being comfortable with your imperfections and not needing to hide them. It means you can admit when you don't know something, acknowledge when you're nervous, or share when you're struggling. This vulnerability must be calibrated. You don't share your deepest insecurities with strangers, but you also don't maintain a defensive wall that prevents any real connection. The fourth principle is that rejection is information, not invalidation. When someone doesn't want to be your friend, doesn't want to date you, or doesn't want to work with you, it means you're not compatible. Nothing more. Socially confident people understand that they're not for everyone. They don't need everyone to like them. They're looking for the people who appreciate what they offer, and they're perfectly fine with others not being interested. This mindset makes rejection much less threatening. When someone rejects you, you think, okay, not a match, and move on. You don't spiral into self-doubt or take it as evidence of your unworthiness. Practice reframing rejections as filtering. Each rejection is filtering out people who aren't right for you, bringing you closer to people who are. This reframe makes rejection feel useful rather than devastating. The fifth principle is that you must initiate. Socially confident people don't wait for others to approach them, include them, or invite them. They take initiative. They start conversations. They suggest plans. They reach out to people they'd like to know better. This initiative feels risky because it exposes you to potential rejection. But it's essential. If you wait for others to always initiate, you'll have fewer relationships and less control over your social life. Start small. Say hello to people. Ask someone about their day. Comment on something in your shared environment. These tiny initiatives build momentum and confidence for larger ones. Work up to bigger initiatives. Invite someone to coffee. Organize a gathering. Introduce yourself to someone you'd like to know. Join groups and actively participate rather than lurking on the periphery. The sixth principle is mastering the art of conversation. Confident conversation has a rhythm. You ask questions, listen genuinely, share relevant information about yourself, ask follow-up questions, and allow natural pauses. Many people struggle because they either talk too much or too little. They dominate conversations out of nervousness, or they barely contribute and let others do all the work. The ideal is balanced exchange. You show interest in others through questions and listening. You contribute your own experiences and perspectives. You create a give and take that makes the conversation enjoyable for both parties. Practice the 70-30 rule initially. Let the other person talk 70% of the time. Ask questions. Show genuine curiosity. This takes pressure off you and makes the other person feel valued. As you become more comfortable, shift toward 50-50. You contribute more of your own thoughts and stories while maintaining interest in theirs. Learn to ask better questions. Instead of questions with yes/no answers, ask open-ended questions that invite elaboration. Instead of, "Did you have a good weekend?" Ask, "What did you do this weekend?" Instead of surface questions, ask questions that invite deeper sharing. What are you working on that excites you? What's challenging you lately? What are you learning about right now? The seventh principle is body language mastery. Your nonverbal communication matters more than your words. Confident body language includes maintaining good posture, standing or sitting up straight, making appropriate eye contact, using open gestures, smiling genuinely, taking up appropriate space, and speaking with clear, well-paced speech. Unconfident body language includes slouching or hunching, avoiding eye contact, crossing arms defensively, fidgeting excessively, speaking too quietly or quickly, and making yourself physically small. Deliberately adopt confident body language even when you don't feel confident. Your physiology influences your psychology. When you stand tall and make eye contact, you begin to feel more confident. The eighth principle is managing social anxiety through exposure. If social situations make you anxious, avoiding them maintains the anxiety. Facing them gradually reduces it. Create a social exposure hierarchy similar to your general fear hierarchy. Start with lower anxiety situations like saying hello to a cashier or asking a simple question. Progress to moderate anxiety situations like attending a small gathering or initiating a brief conversation. Eventually work up to higher anxiety situations like speaking to a group or attending an event where you know no one. The key is gradual progression. Don't jump to the most anxiety-provoking situations immediately. Build confidence through accumulated successful experiences with progressively challenging scenarios. The ninth principle is developing social assertiveness. Many unconfident people are people pleasers. They say yes when they want to say no. They don't express their preferences. They let others make all decisions. They tolerate disrespect to avoid conflict. This people-pleasing destroys confidence. Every time you betray your own needs to please others, you send yourself the message that your needs don't matter. Social confidence requires assertiveness. This means expressing your preferences, saying no when appropriate, setting boundaries, and addressing disrespect. Assertiveness is not aggression. Aggression violates others' rights. Assertiveness protects your rights while respecting others. Practice small assertions. Express your preference when someone asks where to eat. Decline an invitation you don't want to accept. Speak up when someone interrupts you. Each assertion builds your confidence in standing up for yourself. The 10th principle is cultivating genuine interest in others. Paradoxically, becoming more interested in others makes you more socially confident. When you're genuinely curious about people, conversation becomes easier because you're focused on learning about them rather than worrying about yourself. Social confidence is not about being the most interesting person in the room. It's about being genuinely interested in the people in the room. Ask questions with real curiosity. Listen to understand, not just to wait for your turn to speak. Remember details people share and reference them in future conversations. This genuine interest makes people enjoy interacting with you, which provides positive social feedback that builds your confidence. The final principle is accepting that social mistakes are normal and survivable. You will say awkward things. You will misread situations. You will have conversations that don't go well. Everyone does. These mistakes don't define you or predict future interactions. When you make a social mistake, acknowledge it if appropriate, learn whatever lesson exists, and move on. Don't ruminate for days about something you said wrong. The other person has already forgotten about it. Building social confidence is a process. You won't transform overnight from socially anxious to effortlessly charismatic. But with consistent practice of these principles, you will steadily become more comfortable, more capable, and more confident in social situations. Chapter 7. Professional confidence. Your professional life is another major arena where confidence determines outcomes. Career advancement, salary negotiations, leadership opportunities, and professional satisfaction all depend heavily on how you show up in work contexts. Professional confidence involves several distinct components. The first is competence confidence. You must be actually good at what you do. Confidence without competence is arrogance. It's quickly exposed and undermines your credibility. Building competence requires deliberate skill development. Identify the skills most important in your field. Invest time in developing them through courses, practice, mentorship, and experience. Track your progress. As you become genuinely more capable, your confidence naturally grows because it's based on reality. Don't wait until you feel completely competent to show confidence. You can be confident in your ability to learn and grow while acknowledging you haven't mastered everything. This is actually more credible than pretending you already know everything. The second component is communication confidence. Much of professional success depends on how effectively you communicate ideas, present information, and influence others. You might be highly competent, but if you cannot communicate that competence, you won't receive appropriate recognition or opportunities. Develop your communication skills systematically. If presentations are important in your field, take presentation courses and practice regularly. Join groups where you can practice public speaking. Record yourself and review your performance objectively. If written communication is important, study good writing and practice regularly. If one-on-one persuasion is important, study influence principles and practice applying them. The third component is visibility confidence. Many capable people remain unrecognized because they don't make their work visible. They assume good work speaks for itself. It doesn't. You must ensure the right people know about your contributions. This is not about arrogant self-promotion. It's about appropriate communication of your value. Share your achievements with your manager. Volunteer for visible projects. Speak up in meetings. Contribute ideas. Make sure your work is seen by people who make decisions about advancement. Many people, especially women and people from certain cultural backgrounds, struggle with this. They've been taught that self-promotion is inappropriate or arrogant. But sharing your contributions is not arrogance when it's accurate and appropriate. The fourth component is negotiation confidence. You must be willing and able to negotiate for what you want. Salary, responsibilities, resources, flexibility, advancement. Everything is negotiable, but only if you're confident enough to negotiate. Many people accept initial offers without negotiation because they fear seeming greedy or losing the opportunity. But negotiation is expected in professional contexts. Employers respect candidates who know their value and negotiate accordingly. Study negotiation techniques. Practice negotiating in low-stakes situations. When the time comes for important negotiations, prepare thoroughly. Know your market value. Know your minimum acceptable terms. Have data supporting your requests. Then negotiate confidently. Present your case clearly. Be willing to walk away if terms are unacceptable. This confidence in your own value often results in better outcomes. The fifth component is leadership confidence. Whether or not you're in a formal leadership position, confidence in leading situations, projects, or teams determines much of your professional trajectory. Leadership confidence involves making decisions without perfect information. taking responsibility for outcomes, giving clear direction to others, handling conflict appropriately, and maintaining composure under pressure. Develop leadership confidence by seeking leadership opportunities, even small ones. Volunteer to lead a project. Organize a team activity. Take initiative when situations require someone to step up. Each leadership experience builds evidence that you can handle leadership responsibilities. Even when things don't go perfectly, you learn that you can navigate leadership challenges. The sixth component is dealing with imposter syndrome. Many capable people suffer from imposter syndrome, feeling like frauds who will be exposed as not deserving their position. This is especially common when you're in a new role or have advanced beyond your previous experience level. Understand that imposter syndrome is normal, especially when you're genuinely stretching beyond your previous limits. Feeling somewhat out of your depth means you're growing. Everyone feels this way in new situations. Combat imposter syndrome by documenting your qualifications and achievements. When you feel like a fraud, review the actual evidence of your capabilities. You were selected for your role for reasons. You have accomplished things that qualify you. Also recognize that no one knows everything. Even highly successful people are making it up as they go to some extent. The difference is that confident people don't let this uncertainty stop them from acting decisively. The seventh component is handling criticism and feedback professionally. You will receive criticism in your career. Your confidence in handling it constructively, rather than defensively, determines how much you grow. When receiving criticism, listen without interrupting or making excuses. Ask clarifying questions if needed. Thank the person for the feedback. Then privately assess whether the criticism is valid. If it's valid, use it to improve. If it's not valid, discard it without letting it undermine your confidence. Not all criticism is accurate or useful. Confident professionals can receive criticism without becoming defensive or devastated. They see it as information that might be useful for improvement. The eighth component is professional risk-taking. Career advancement requires taking calculated risks, applying for stretch positions, proposing ambitious projects, challenging conventional approaches, starting new initiatives. These risks expose you to potential failure, which is why unconfident people avoid them. But avoiding risk guarantees you remain where you are. Build confidence in professional risk-taking by starting with small risks. Propose a minor innovation. Volunteer for a slightly challenging assignment. Apply for a position that's a small stretch. As you successfully navigate these smaller risks, your confidence in handling larger risks grows. The ninth component is building a professional network. Your network provides opportunities, support, and validation that build professional confidence. Knowing you have connections who respect your work and would recommend you or collaborate with you provides tremendous confidence. Build your network intentionally. Attend industry events. Connect with colleagues and maintain those relationships. Provide value to others in your network. Over time, this network becomes a source of opportunities and confidence. The 10th component is managing professional setbacks. You will experience setbacks, projects that fail, promotions you don't get, ideas that are rejected, jobs you lose. How you handle these setbacks determines whether they destroy your confidence or build resilience. Interpret setbacks as information and temporary circumstances, not as permanent judgments of your worth. A failed project means the approach didn't work, not that you're incompetent. A denied promotion means you weren't selected this time, not that you'll never advance. Use setbacks as learning experiences. What can you learn? What would you do differently? How can you improve? Then apply these lessons moving forward. Professional confidence is built over time through accumulated experiences of capability, effective communication of your value, strategic risk-taking, and resilient responses to inevitable setbacks. Chapter 8. Romantic and Relationship Confidence. Romantic confidence is an area where many otherwise capable people completely fall apart. They might be confident at work, confident socially, but when romantic interest is involved, their confidence evaporates. This happens because romantic situations activate deep fears of rejection and inadequacy. The stakes feel higher. The vulnerability is greater. The potential for pain is more intense. Understanding romantic confidence requires recognizing its unique challenges. The first principle is that romantic confidence starts with being comfortable alone. If you desperately need a relationship to feel complete, you will be needy and unconfident in romantic contexts. Desperation is deeply unattractive. People are drawn to those who seem complete on their own and are choosing to share their life, not those who need someone to fix their loneliness. Before pursuing romantic confidence, ensure you have a fulfilling life as a single person. Friendships, interests, goals, satisfaction. When you're genuinely okay alone, you can pursue relationships from a place of strength rather than desperation. The second principle is understanding that attraction is not logical. You cannot convince someone to be attracted to you through logic, persistence, or changing yourself to match what you think they want. Attraction either exists or it doesn't. Confident people accept this. They look for mutual attraction rather than trying to create it where it doesn't exist. This means being willing to walk away from situations where attraction is one-sided. If someone isn't interested, no amount of trying harder will change that. Move on to find someone who is interested. The third principle is that rejection in romantic contexts is not a judgment of your worth. It means you're not a match for that particular person at that particular time. There are countless reasons people aren't interested that have nothing to do with your value. They might be attracted to different physical types. They might be in different life stages. They might want different things from a relationship. They might have unresolved issues that make them unavailable. None of this reflects on your worth. Confident people can be rejected without their self-esteem collapsing. They think, not a match, and continue looking for someone who is. The fourth principle is authenticity over strategy. Many people try to build romantic confidence through manipulation strategies, playing games, following rules about when to text, pretending to be less interested than they are, acting like someone they're not to seem more attractive. These strategies might create short-term interest, but they cannot create sustainable relationships because they're based on pretense. Eventually, your authentic self emerges, and the disconnect creates problems. Confident romantic behavior is authentic. You express genuine interest without games. You're honest about who you are. You let people see your actual personality rather than a crafted persona. This authenticity allows people who would genuinely like you to recognize that, while filtering out people who wouldn't. It's more efficient and leads to better outcomes. The fifth principle is that you must initiate and risk rejection. Whether you're interested in someone new or want to deepen an existing relationship, you must be willing to make moves that risk rejection. Asking someone out, expressing romantic interest, initiating physical escalation, having the relationship definition conversation. All of these risk rejection, but they're necessary for romantic relationships to develop. Confident people take these risks. They accept that rejection is possible, but don't let that possibility paralyze them. They'd rather know than wonder. The sixth principle is maintaining your identity in relationships. Many people lose themselves in relationships. They abandon their interests, neglect their friends, and make their entire life about their partner. This is unattractive and unsustainable. Confident people maintain their own identity, interests, and relationships outside the romantic relationship. This makes them more interesting partners and prevents the neediness that kills attraction. The seventh principle is healthy boundaries in relationships. Confident people know what behavior is acceptable to them and what isn't. They communicate boundaries clearly and enforce them. If someone violates your boundaries repeatedly, you address it directly. If it continues, you leave. This isn't giving ultimatums. It's having standards for how you'll be treated. Many people tolerate poor treatment because they fear being alone. But tolerating disrespect destroys confidence and creates dysfunctional relationships. The eighth principle is communication of needs and desires. Confident people express what they want in relationships. They don't expect partners to read their minds or figure it out through hints. If you need more quality time, you say so directly. If you want more physical affection, you express that. If something is bothering you, you address it. This direct communication prevents the resentment that builds when needs go unexpressed and unmet. It also gives your partner the opportunity to meet your needs, which they cannot do if they don't know what they are. The ninth principle is comfort with sexuality. Many people carry shame or discomfort around sexuality that undermines romantic confidence. Confident sexual behavior involves knowing what you want, communicating it, respecting others' boundaries, and being comfortable with your own desires. This doesn't mean being sexually aggressive or pressuring. It means being comfortable with sexuality as a natural part of romantic relationships and able to navigate it confidently. The 10th principle is resilience through relationship challenges. All relationships face difficulties, conflicts, disappointments, changes. Confident people navigate these challenges through honest communication, willingness to work through problems, and recognition that challenges don't mean the relationship is doomed. They also know when challenges indicate fundamental incompatibility and have the confidence to end relationships that aren't working, rather than clinging to them out of fear of being alone. Romantic confidence allows you to pursue relationships authentically, handle rejection without devastation, maintain your identity and boundaries, and navigate both new relationships and long-term partnerships with assurance. Chapter 9. Crisis-Proof Confidence. The ultimate test of confidence comes during crisis, when everything goes wrong, when you experience major failures, losses, or setbacks, when your external circumstances collapse. This is when most people's confidence evaporates completely. But unshakable confidence means confidence that persists even during crisis. This requires understanding that true confidence is internal, not dependent on external circumstances. Building crisis-proof confidence requires specific preparation and mindset work. The first element is separating your identity from your circumstances. If your confidence depends on your job, your relationship status, your financial situation, or any external factor, it's fragile. When those circumstances change, your confidence collapses. True confidence is based on your internal qualities, your resilience, your ability to learn and adapt, your values, your capacity to face difficulty. These internal qualities remain constant regardless of external circumstances. Practice seeing yourself as separate from your circumstances. You are not your job title. You are not your relationship. You are not your bank account. You are the person who navigates these circumstances. When circumstances change, your core self remains. This perspective allows confidence to persist through external chaos. The second element is building a track record of resilience. The best predictor of future resilience is past resilience. When you've overcome difficulties before, you have evidence that you can do it again. Document your past resilience. What difficult situations have you navigated? What challenges have you overcome? What evidence exists that you can handle hardship? When you face current crises, review this evidence. You've survived everything life has thrown at you so far. You have a 100% survival rate. This track record supports confidence that you'll survive current challenges too. The third element is maintaining perspective during crisis. When you're in the middle of a crisis, it feels permanent and all-consuming. Everything seems hopeless. You cannot imagine circumstances improving, but this perspective is distorted. Crises are temporary. Circumstances change. What feels unbearable today will eventually resolve, or you'll adapt to it. Practice perspective taking during crisis. Ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? Often the answer is no. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could actually happen? Often the imagined worst case is not as catastrophic as it feels. Ask yourself, what opportunities might emerge from this difficulty? Often, crises create openings for positive change that wouldn't occur otherwise. The fourth element is maintaining basic self-care during crisis. When confidence is threatened, many people abandon the practices that support their mental health. They stop exercising. They eat poorly. They isolate. They stop sleeping properly. This makes everything worse. Your ability to handle crisis depends on your physical and mental state. Crisis is when you most need self-care, not when you can afford to abandon it. No matter how difficult circumstances are, maintain exercise, nutrition, sleep, and social connection. These practices provide the energy and resilience to navigate crisis. The fifth element is focusing on what you can control. During crisis, many things are outside your control. Focusing on these creates helplessness and anxiety. Confident crisis navigation involves identifying what you can actually control and focusing your energy there. You cannot control whether you get laid off, but you can control how you respond. You cannot control whether someone leaves you, but you can control how you process it and move forward. You cannot control markets or economies, but you can control your skills and efforts. Make a list of what you can control in the current crisis. Focus exclusively on those things. Let go of everything else. The sixth element is reframing crisis as challenge. The words you use to describe situations affect how you experience them. Crisis implies overwhelming threat. Challenge implies a difficulty you can potentially overcome. Practice describing difficulties as challenges rather than crises. This subtle reframe changes your neurological response. Challenges activate problem solving and effort. Crises activate panic and helplessness. The seventh element is maintaining connection during difficulty. Isolation during crisis is tempting but destructive. You need support, perspective, and connection, especially during difficult times. Resist the urge to isolate. Reach out to trusted people. Share what you're going through. Accept support. This connection provides emotional resources that help you navigate crisis without your confidence collapsing. The eighth element is finding meaning in adversity. Crises often become turning points. They force growth that wouldn't occur otherwise. They clarify values and priorities. They reveal capabilities you didn't know you had. Look for the potential meaning and growth in current difficulties. What might you learn from this? How might you grow? What might this experience teach you? This meaning-making transforms crisis from pure threat into an opportunity for development. The final element is commitment to continue regardless. Crisis-proof confidence ultimately means you keep going no matter what. You don't give up when things get hard. You don't quit when circumstances are unfavorable. You persist through difficulty until you reach better circumstances. This persistence is the ultimate expression of confidence. It's confidence in your ability to eventually overcome whatever you're facing. Make a commitment that no matter what happens, you will continue moving forward. You might move slowly. You might need to change direction, but you will not quit. This commitment becomes self-fulfilling. When you're certain you'll persist, you will eventually succeed because you never stop trying. Chapter 10. The Confident Life. After months of practicing these principles, implementing these strategies, and taking consistent, confident action, you arrive at a transformed state. You have built unshakable confidence. This transformation changes everything about how you experience life. You wake up without the constant anxiety that used to accompany every day. You don't immediately worry about what might go wrong or what others might think. You feel capable of handling whatever the day brings. You interact with others from a place of assurance rather than insecurity. You don't spend every conversation monitoring how you're being perceived. You're present and engaged because you're not worried about judgment. You pursue opportunities without the paralyzing self-doubt that used to stop you. When something interesting arises, you consider whether you want it and whether you're willing to work for it. You don't automatically disqualify yourself based on perceived inadequacy. You handle setbacks and failures without your confidence collapsing. Difficulties are challenges to navigate, not evidence of your inadequacy. Failures are learning experiences, not confirmations that you're not good enough. You set boundaries and advocate for yourself without guilt. You say no when appropriate. You ask for what you want. You don't tolerate disrespect. Your needs matter, and you act accordingly. You take up space without apology. You speak up. You share your ideas. You pursue your goals visibly. You don't shrink yourself to avoid making others uncomfortable. You handle criticism without becoming defensive. You assess whether feedback is valid and useful. If it is, you use it to improve. If it isn't, you discard it without it affecting your self-perception. You pursue ambitious goals without waiting for permission or validation. You decide what you want and pursue it based on your own judgment, not others' approval. You recover quickly from rejection. Someone doesn't want to date you. Not a match. Move on. Someone doesn't hire you. Not the right fit. Keep looking. Someone doesn't like your idea? That's fine. You don't need universal approval. You maintain your sense of self in all circumstances. Your confidence isn't dependent on having a relationship, a certain job, a specific income, or any external factor. Your confidence is internal, based on who you are and what you're capable of becoming. This confident life is available to you. It's not reserved for people with special advantages. It's built through the consistent application of the principles and practices in this audiobook. Every day you practice, you move closer to this transformed state. Every confident action you take adds to the foundation. The choice is yours. You can continue living with the confidence limitations that have held you back until now. Or you can commit to building the unshakable confidence that will transform every aspect of your existence. The practices are clear. The path is laid out. The only remaining question is whether you will walk it. Starting today. Starting with the next action you take. Choosing confidence over comfort. Choosing growth over safety. Choosing the person you could become over the person you've been. Your confident life is waiting. Everything you want is on the other side of the confidence you haven't built yet. But you can build it. You have everything you need. The only question is whether you'll commit to the process and persist until the transformation is complete. Choose confidence. Choose action. Choose transformation. Your future self will be grateful you did.